I'm gonna butcher this. Louisville. Louisville.
Oh my God, Louisville. It's think Lua, like a luau-ville. Louisville.
Oh, Louisville.
While you're scavenging for resources, shelter, and high-tier weapons, one of the things that you got to worry about is the population of the natives. Dove and I were talking about it. How many zombies are there in Louisville? Well, it would surprise you that on 1x population, there's upwards of 55,000 zombies. As you can see, somebody's painstakingly put a grid together of the entire Louisville map, and they've counted how many zombies spawn by default inside the buildings, as well as how many zombies spawn by default outside the buildings. And as you can see, 55,727 zombies on 1x. Dump, what's your preferred setting when you play Project Zomboid as far as population goes?
Well, I would have to say I like with the vanilla populations, because when you think about just the vanilla populations and you look at those numbers, it's pretty crazy to think about that there are that many registered and possible zombies in just that area alone. Now, mind you, I know.
But I agree with you. If you set it up any higher than 1x, I mean, at 2x, you're talking about 110,000 zombies, close to 111,000. And even when you're talking about 3x, like some people play on, I don't think Louisville would be very possible with a 3x population.
All right, folks. Well, jokes aside,
well, what does base building do for the story? Like your character's story, what values does having a base bring your characters?
I think a value of a base actually brings along overall a sense of, it's like setting down roots. It really starts to bind your character to, I'm here to survive this zombie apocalypse. I'm no longer running scared. I'm no longer trying to find the next safe haven. I am making my own safe haven. This is where I'm going to store my supplies. This is where I'm going to store extra weapons, ammunition, possible vehicles. I'm going to make my own escape routes, so on and so on. Bases, in my opinion, symbolize to most people that tier system that you were talking about, where it's no longer, I have grown up from being a person running for my life to I'm now going to do exactly what I just said, set up roots.
That's such a good point, because from a story perspective, it's like taking the fight to the zombies. You know, at that point, it's about clearing the area. It's about fighting back the pandemic, not just avoiding it entirely. That's a really interesting prospect. I think one of my favorite things about base building is you get a sense of achievement because you can see the progress you've made thus far, which I do think is quite valuable in these games. But also, think about the graves and the crosses. One of my favorite things you did in the stream when we were playing is you made graves for Gramps. Every time Gramps died, you went into the backyard and put a little wooden crucifix. I thought that was so funny. If we had a shovel, we would have dug legit graves, but that's something that you might miss in the nomadic style. You know, having a place to memorialize those who have fallen. For me.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll take a car and I'll fill it up with the necessities that I need to live, whether it's a propane barbecue or something. But for me, being able to just drive out into the woods or pull off into a rest stop and clearing it and staying there for the night, looting it for resources. Usually when I'm a nomad, sometimes I'm there for 5 days and then I move on. I'm never in one spot. And as far as story goes, I think that's the coolest thing, because your character goes on this journey. I always compare it to Lord of the Rings when they went to Mount Doom to get rid of the ring. That's what it feels like for being a nomad for me in a zombie game, because it's just got all of those. There are trapping options, 330T, but they're not very good right now. You can catch things like rats and stuff like that, but to be honest, until the hunting update comes out, it just doesn't do a whole lot for health. And in wintertime, trapping almost slows to a stop.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing is story-wise with being nomadic? Like, if you could envision Andrew, the character that we were streaming with, being a nomad, what kind of positives could you get out of that experience?
Well, I think it would be less and more attachment to people. And what I mean by that is that I will feel like every person I come across is a gold mine, a person that I want to save no matter what. Um, but also, if and when I do lose them, I am back to being self-sufficient. So one of the things people have to consider with being a nomad, in my view, is you have to be able to provide for yourself. Now, when you find other people, that's great, but you still have to remember you can't start to rely on them too hard because they will die, or you will die, and you'll leave them alone.
Yeah, and once you're a nomad, I think trapping also has more of a purpose, because then you can, trap the small game while you go, while you're focusing on rebuilding your campsite, rebuilding your base, setting out your resources. It's not so much about holing up, looting a grocery store, or going out and doing some long-term fishing. You could survive on the quick bites a little more. Whereas with base maintenance, it takes a lot of nutrition to sit there and build walls and stuff, and you burn through your food a lot quicker.
Well, folks, thank you very much for watching our video and this